the doctrine and it wasn't fair. And the idea, I mean, I heard somebody the other day saying the worst thing that happened in this country is when they dropped the fairness doctrine because we got Rush Limbaugh. Well, that's because you don't like Rush Limbaugh. So what? There are plenty, I mean, the real thing that ought to happen, and we've got it now with XM and Sirius satellite radio, even though you have to pay for it, nothing's free. Your over-the-air television and radio is not free. You pay those commercials, you pay $1,000, I'll bet a car for the advertising that they spend on television. You take television advertising away from the cars and they go out of business. I very, very strongly believe that people ought to get away from this notion that we're all going to think the same thoughts and we're all going to get together around the fireplace at night and just hear the same news. I mean, if you don't believe me, and look what's happened over the last 20 years with the over-the-air broadcasting news at night. It's unbelievable. Everybody is fighting over there. Right now, it's about 22 million people a night out of 300 million in the United States that watch the evening news shows. 25 years ago, it was 40 to 50 million people that watched the night, and the society had 100 million less people. And no one ever talks about the 100 million less people in the country. In those days, they still keep clinging to these 22 million people that they're watching and say, obviously that means a lot more than what cable does because cable only gets to 1.5 million at night on the internet. If I don't know something, all I have to do is go over and type something in and boom, I got the answer. It's phenomenal. And if you had social engineers making the decision, we'd have never had the internet because they would have, my God, people can start their own websites. Wouldn't that be terrible? They can start doing things we don't like. Yes?
Do you think the C-SPAN model is applicable at all at the state or local level, and if not, why?
Well, it is, and if you can do a number of things. You've got the problem of paying for it. And we have the unique thing of being able to have a base of 90 million homes at, a nickel a month. If you go to a state, like for instance in Pennsylvania, the second person that I hired at C-SPAN, a fellow named Brian Lockman, now runs the Pennsylvania Cable Network, and where we have a $50-some million a year budget, he's got about a $3.5 to $4 million a year budget. He's got 33 people that work there. We have 260. But where we're 5 cents a month, he's 9 cents a month, because he's got a base in the state of only 4 million customers, but he does a marvelous job. And the trick, though, is there's a lot of things along the way that have to happen. One of them is the cable operators have to be willing to pay for it, and there's no requirement that they do that. And secondly, they have to find the channel capacity. And what is happening is that they'll find the channel capacity with the new digital environment, but they don't want to give up an analog channel for that. And that's all changing right now. We're going to have a problem with the analog versus the digital. I mean, it's going to be a bumpy road ahead for us in the next couple of years, because they're all looking, our cable operators are looking for more capacity. Yes, sir?
What's the prognosis for expanding C-SPAN radio? We don't have cable, but I get it constantly on the car, so I can listen far more than most people who obviously can't, during their working day, sit in front of a television set. Well, I would imagine you could enormously expand the influence of C-SPAN if radio could be expanded.
Well, you can probably the first of the year, first couple of months of the year, you can go down to your friendly vendor and buy high definition HD radio, and you'll probably be able to get another 3 channels from us on radio in this area. And we're just in the process of buying the equipment. We just made the decision to go ahead, and you'll have all the C-SPAN you can possibly listen to. We'll have book stuff on there, we'll have the House and the Senate, and that'll be locally.
No, I mean, I'm speaking throughout the country, not in this area.
Well, we're lucky to be on XM satellite, Sirius satellite radio, because we have C-SPAN on there, but the capacity there is, they devote tens and channels to sports and everything else. We're going to be the little person on the totem pole. We're lucky to be there as it is. We were in XM's case, we were the second contract they signed, and it was an early contract with Sirius, or we probably wouldn't be there today, because there's no requirement that we be careful. Yes, sir.
First, thank goodness for C-SPAN. I'm a big fan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I heard a speech by Nobel Prize winner Joseph Stiglitz, in economics, and his topic was political corruption of politicians, and he thought one solution to the corruption of politicians would be to give them free access to radio and TV time because of the corrupting influence of money on politics and the league of money to buy TV and radio time. Any thoughts? Anyone doing that? Anyone thinking about that?
It'll never happen. We give politicians every day, I mean, I guess, 90 million homes, millions and millions of dollars of free publicity. And I can tell you that when the audience has choice, they don't go there. Enough go there to matter in our case, but the public at large will only watch either when they have no place else to go or when they're terribly interested in what's going on. That is changing this country. That's why we call this thing C-SPAN Presidential Revolution. It's changed. I mean, and we're going to have to deal with it as a society. And a lot of people aren't as interested as they used to be because they had to watch. And that, I can see where Mr. Sunstein would say that's a problem. But, you know, I say we got to get over that and try to, but it'll never happen. The Congress, my guess is they'll never mandate that there's free time. As a matter of fact, I don't even think it would work. I think if they, let's just give you an example. Let's say that Channel 4 here had to give everybody running for whatever, 30 minutes. The ratings would go south. They're not going to watch. Some people will, good citizens are interested, but a lot of people won't watch it. We're better off at this stage. You can't, in my opinion, you can't teach people new tricks in this thing. You're not going to be able to change it. The biggest problem with our politics is the money, but it's not the money, and they do have to pay a lot of money for television, but it's figuring out some way to, and I have not the answer for it, and cutting out the requirement that they have to raise millions and millions of dollars. But I don't, you know, there's nobody in the last couple of years with all the corruption and problems we had in this town that suggested, very few people ever in our call-in shows ever suggested that the taxpayer pay for these campaigns, which I find strange. Years ago, they used to do that all the time. Yes, sir.
How do you stop yourself from arguing with someone when they call in?
It's our mission. You know, and as a matter of fact, that reminds me, we can pass these out if anybody wants to. I tried to bring something that you can take away that has our mission statement. It's just our mission. It's not hard. It looks hard because probably, why don't you pass it out over here, sir, and then I'll put some on the other side. It probably, I just don't care what somebody says. I mean, no, I really don't. I'm constantly amazed. Let me pass this back up here in the back so others can get them. I am constantly amazed about what I hear from the callers. And a lot of people in this town don't like our callers. They think there's some special breed of human being that have strange things growing out of their head and they have strange ideas. But what I want to tell them every day is those callers are us. We are not nearly as sophisticated as people or society, as people sitting in an ivory tower in this town writing about it think we are. People are just, they're just ordinary folks out there. Only 75% of the people in this country do not have college degrees. Think about that. I mean, everybody thinks everybody's got the college degree, and you're in a place like this, Dan Polsby's law school, you think everybody's got a law degree. Most people that call our call-in show are people that are interested in and curious about information. And I find it to be, I always hate it in the morning when our call-in show, the first hour goes off, because I love it listening to the callers. But I don't care what they say. The only thing I care about is if they are, and they do this all the time, is if something is just obvious. And they'll call up and say it's the opposite of the obvious. You want to say, but have you thought about this? In a way not to be argumentative. They make me mad all the time because they'll call us up and say, you never do this. And of course we do that. You never show so-and-so. And people love to do that. They love to get mad at the media, and they're entitled, but they're almost always wrong. We can tell by watching you that you're a right-winger. But if you never give your opinion on anything, how do you know that? Or we can tell lately we've been getting a lot of your Bush, just a bunch of left wingers. I find it fascinating. You have no idea what's in my head. I mean, I don't tell anybody except my very closest friends, and they don't really care what's in my head either, so I've learned, I used to get steamed up over politics. You can't make me mad about politics now. I mean, you can make me mad at some of the things they do, but you can't make me mad and argue about it. It's just not worth it. Yes?
You talked about how people shouldn't be forced to watch anything. What's your take on these proposed legislation for cable choice and giving, cable consumers the opportunity to choose which shows, stations they want in their cable bills and pay for the only ones they want? And what kind of effect do you think that'll have on C-SPAN?
I had to tell you this, there's a trade press reporter sitting back there, he's got his pencil out right there, right now. He loves that question. That's been his favorite question so far. Because he knows that my answer is very, very touchy. Let me tell you what this is, and I'll answer your question. We prepared this for you. It's C-SPAN's mission and the law, and it's a bunch of different things that have happened over the years in short paragraph form. This is again a compromise with Mr. Professor Hazlett over here. So that if those of you who are really interested in taking something away that shows all the different things that have happened that could have had some impact on us or even the industry, we got it in this paper, and I owe a great deal of this to our terrific general counsel, Bruce Collins. Philosophically, I think you ought to be able to choose. It would kill us as a network, especially if it happened overnight. Unless, and I think this is probably what would happen, we would not ask the government to mandate our carriage. We would still be at the mercy of our industry. And I have enough, it's hard sometimes because people in our industry have to worry about the bottom line, but our industry, those people that made this network happen, and remember I said we, not I, and there are hundreds of them, and I can talk for hours and hours about the individuals who made a difference. We would have individuals who would step up to the plate and say, we're not going to kill C-SPAN. We would probably end up on tears if they ever did mandate choice. But it's like the newspaper. You go pick up your newspaper in the morning, you pay $1 for the New York Times, 75 cents for USA Today, 35 cents for the Washington Post, and 25 cents for the Washington Times. And when you buy that paper, you get it all. And you get the comics, which I never read, and you get the front page, which I always read. And you get the sports section, which I don't pay much attention to, and you get the style section, which I read every day. And you got the editorial page that I never miss in Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all these editorial pages matter a lot to me because they help me understand where everybody's coming from. But you pay the money, and many times you don't care what's on the editorial page. It's the same kind of thing with cable television. We've all been we grew up in this environment where if you had to pay only for us, we would require let's see, what would it be? 12 times 5, we'd need $5 million a month. If we charged $1 a month, we'd need 5 million people in this country to do it. I'm not sure we could get it. I'm not sure. I like the choice idea, but it's very important, at least at this stage in the game, that if we're going to survive, that we be a part of the bigger package. So you've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde standing right in front of you. It's a very, very tough issue. And I suspect someday, with all that's going on out there with satellites and the competition, that there will be a different kind of choice than there is right now. It'll be an economic decision. Great question, though. It's off the record, Kid. Yeah.
I assume there's an editorial process that goes into deciding what comes on every day, that certainly there are more things that can be broadcast than are. Can you speak at all to that?
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. First of all, I don't have anything to do with it. Years and years ago, I got out of it for a lot of reasons. I mean, if I were going to practice what I preach, which is I don't like power, and I'm not interested in having any power. I think that's one of the things that happens in town. People begin to love power, love control. And when that happens, you do funny things. And so years ago, I took myself out of the daily process of deciding what goes on. And they rarely ask me. they love their freedom and they rarely come to me and say, Daddy, what can we do? It just doesn't happen to them.